Hey, welcome back in. This is Colatown, our city, our stories. I'm so glad you're with us here, and really appreciate you listening in on a Monday morning, this June the 15th, 2026. Hey, big thanks again to Will Brennan for joining us first half of the program. Turning our attention now to One Columbia. Xavier Blake is here with us, the executive director of One Columbia. Welcome into the point. Welcome into Colatown.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here and have this conversation with you this morning.
I'm glad you're here. So before we get too much into One Columbia, and I do want to get into that's going to be the main focus, I want to give us a chance to learn a little bit about Xavier Blake. But first, what is One Columbia?
Yeah, so we are the local arts agency for the city of Columbia. And I was trying to explain what the local arts agency was, and I was thinking about how I could explain that. You had our great councilman, Will Brennan, here, and it's kind of like the city council for arts. You know, if you think of the NEA and the NEH as the national organizations, the State Arts Commission as the state organization, One Columbia is the very local organization that helps pursue arts and helps arts in Columbia.
I really feel like it is one of the most underrated aspects of the city of Columbia is our culture scene and our arts. I feel like people have no idea, Xavier, no idea how much stuff we got going on here and how many options we have. And we'll get into that a little bit during your visit. But I mean, I feel like we could do hours on what we have in Columbia instead of just spending a half hour here on Colatown. Let me learn a little bit about you first, though, because I like to kind of put the story with the name a little bit for our listeners here at Colatown.
Sure. How'd
you get to the job of being executive director, and why the interest, or why the passion for this?
Yeah, I will tell you, it was never my bingo card to be an executive director or an arts administrator.
Right.
I spent couple decades working for public media. I was a storyteller, filmmaker, producer. I really enjoyed the job over at South Carolina ETV, and so I got to travel the state, meeting people and telling stories, kind of like you do on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I moved to New York for a little bit, to another PBS station. I kind of managed some content there, and it was really fantastic. And then we wanted to come back home, and so I came back home to Columbia. Took a job at Nickelodeon Theater for a little while.
Yeah.
Content engagement manager there for a little while. And One Columbia's job had been open for about 8 months. A friend of mine called. She was on the board, and she suggested I meet with the interim ED, and I did. And I thought it could be a place that I could really make a difference in Columbia. Like you said, there's so many incredible events and people and artists in our city, and being able to kind of help guide some of that culture in our city is really important to me. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's been really cool to kind of meet and see what's going on in our city. But again, it was not on my bingo card.
Right.
But it's been a really great learning experience, being able to work closely with our artists, but also being able to work closely with our City of Columbia officials.
And how long have you been the executive director?
I think it'll be 3 years. It's coming up on 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's something.
And it's an area of tremendous growth in this community. I mean, again, I feel like it's not that it's untapped. It's that it's your challenge is making sure people realize just how much we have when it comes to arts and culture. Yeah,
you're totally correct. One of the perks of being the ED is I get invited to a lot of things. And so there's something going on every night in the city, something different, something diverse, something really cool that you can learn something about the community. You can participate in arts and crafts. We got one of the best museums in the state. The Nickelodeon Theater is fantastic. I was at an event that Coker owned the other night. It was called Musica. It was fantastic.
Yeah, was that the Sounds of the Season one, or the stage to...
Yeah, stage to music.
Stage, yeah,
it was
my wife and daughter were at that.
Unbelievable.
And great talent on the stage, and they went to that, and I said, did you see the whole Musica schedule? And it's like all over the place, all the great things they're doing there. So, yeah, goodness gracious, there's just something, and you said it your best self, every night. There's something that if you just look, and we'll make sure you know the One Columbia website so that people can follow that, and that's one good way to keep up with the arts, but there's just so much going on.
Yeah, and one of your points is our website does have a community calendar where you can find most of the events going on in the city, and that's one of the resources we provide to the community, which is really cool to be able to do. So you can go there, you can see a lot of our public art displays, but also what's happening. And so we try to keep everybody abreast of what's going on because, again, there's so much to choose from.
Well, and again, I want people to understand that when it comes to One Columbia, when it comes to arts and culture, there's certain things that people think about. We have a lot of people that are listening that are not actually even Columbia residents. They're Lexington, or they're living in Blythewood, or they live up in Newberry, or they whatever. Everybody, though, that's listening either lives in the city, works in the city, or plays in the city.
Absolutely.
And I mention that all the time whenever we talk about One Columbia, or we talk about when we have a guest on like Councilman Brennan.
Sure.
Everybody has an impact, and when I'm about to travel, we're going up to Michigan to see family,
I love it.
and next week, And if I meet somebody new and they say, well, where are you from? I'm not going to say I'm from Camden or Irmo or Newberry. I'm going to say I'm from Columbia.
Absolutely.
And that's what most people are going to say, is because Columbia is our capital of our state, and also it's where everybody knows. But what they don't know is how much we have going on here and the growth of this area. So you can't have growth and attract people without having culture and arts, because that's what people want.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, one thing about arts and culture that I realized over the last 3 years is it's very essential. It's not an add-on. It's a needed thing that your city has to have to attract economic growth, to attract people, to attract communities. And so, to your point, I love art because I think art is beautiful and it builds these bridges in communities. But it's also an economic addition that really is important for the arts and culture community in your city. So,
in the time that you've been involved, where have we seen the most growth, and what is also your biggest challenge?
I think the new Finley Park coming online has been fantastic. The Friday night concerts have been amazing. They're tremendously attended. And I do think that will be a very good asset to our city. Juneteenth is coming up. The Juneteenth Festival has been moved there. Mark Rapp and Cola Jazz had their Cola Jazz concert there.
Hugely successful.
Fantastic. So there's just so many opportunities to kind of see art in Columbia. The Coca Center's got the Levette amp going on, which is also free music. There's just so many things happening. But I think one of the challenges that we have in terms of arts and culture is just funding. I think there are tremendous opportunities for people to do things, but again, funding to be able to do those things is also a little bit challenging. Now, we are a 501c nonprofit, so we do take donations. I did work for PBS for a long time, so we are looking for sustained donors.
Sure.
1-800-256, that number.
Right.
You should go to our website, www.onecolumbiasc.com to donate, because again, when we get those funds in, those funds go directly back into our community for public art projects, for artist grants, for workshops. So those funds, again, you're investing in us, gets reinvested right back into our community.
Let's talk about a few different aspects of art and culture. I mean, let's talk the museum scene for a sec.
Sure.
Let's start with that, and then we're going to get into some of the festivals and things like that. But let's talk about the museum scene for a second. People don't know, if they haven't been, we have a great museum.
CMA is fantastic.
Yeah.
They currently have an incredible exhibit headlined by Rodney McMillan, a local South Carolina boy, and it's a tremendous exhibit. It's on par with anything you would see anywhere in the world. I had the opportunity to go to Spain last May. I was in Bilbao, and I went to the Guggenheim Museum there. It was amazing.
Right.
But again, the Columbia Museum of Art is also on par with those museums. I think the South Carolina State Museum is also really, really an incredible asset that we have here in the United States of Columbia.
Yeah.
So there are just so many really, really amazing ways to engage with art. One of the things about the city of Columbia I also love is the amount of public art we have. I worked in public media for a long time, so access is super important. So being able to walk down the street and see a piece of art that tells the story of your city is really, really cool. And so you can also find all of our public art in our city of Columbia on our website.
Yeah.
There are walking tours you can go by just individually, just take them up and go. And again, access is super important, but also quality of art, which we have here in Columbia.
Well, and again, there's different kinds of people who want a different kind of museum. You go to the Columbia Museum of Art, and you'll see tremendous diversity and variety from 1 month to the next, to the next. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago, my wife Lainey and we were going to see all the Keith Haring.
Yeah, sure.
That was just there.
100%.
That's her favorite artist, is
Absolutely.
Keith Haring. And of course, if you said you went up to New York, you know all about Keith Haring.
100%.
But my point is that you'll see that kind of art, and then you'll go and it's a whole different thing. The next batch of exhibits that come through there. And so what I try to tell everybody is, hey, when's the last time you went to the Columbia Museum of Art? And they'll be like, well, I went to see about 2 years ago. I'm like, do you know how much you've missed in 2 years?
Well, and I'll tell you another thing that's really cool about the Columbia Museum of Art right now. The summertime, it's free.
Free. Right.
And so again, that access, again, it's unbelievably incredible.
Get you out of the heat.
Oh, my goodness.
And you get to go for free, and you can take your kids, and you can get your kids fired up and excited about something they've never known.
And I'll tell you one more thing that's really fantastic are the employees and the staff. So the docents there are so knowledgeable. They're so able to kind of guide you through through the museum if you're a newbie. And
Yeah.
so I think that's also something that's really important about our museum is it's not intimidating.
Right.
They make you feel like you're welcome. And that's also really, really important as you try to learn about art.
And moms and dads that are listening right now, if you're looking for something that'll keep you in the air conditioning and keep your kids occupied, there's a great children's area in the museum also that is designed. They can do arts and crafts and things like that. It's absolutely wonderful. And again, you can't beat the price and you can't beat what you can see there. It's just a phenomenal museum. Then, you've even got something that might be less on the culture side, but from a historic side, just with the South Carolina State Museum.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's a wonderful museum.
Yeah, it really is. And again, the staff there is also incredible. I got a lot of friends that work there as well, just through contacts. And so I was actually there last week for this Harvesting Heritage event they do once quarterly, which is unbelievably incredible.
Right.
But again, just the access and just the ability to be able to be in a high quality, high value museum in a city like Columbia is fantastic.
Yeah, I just want people to realize the choices we have here, and that's just a couple of the museums.
Well, and I'm going to add Ed Adventure. Right in the same parking lot. I don't have kids. My kids are older, but Ed Adventure is amazing. Like you can go in there and you can learn so much. Yeah. And I think the thing about art that's also really cool is that it does go through a lot of different areas. It can be educational, it can be historical, it can be just beautiful. But there's a lot of things that it touches, which is really cool.
Yeah, and again, there's something for every age group in Columbia when it comes to museums, when it comes to this type of thing. And the sooner, one of the things that's so great about Adventure is the hands-on.
Absolutely.
Because it lets your kids go and take and hammer on this and pull on that.
Grocery shopping with
exactly.
The grocery sure.
There's so much
math.
Exactly, and the kids are entertained while learning. And if you can pull that off. Oh, and by the way, it's also air conditioned also. So, I mean, I'm just saying, if you
it was a hot weekend.
Right.
You said you're going to Michigan. I'm jealous because it'll be a little cooler there when you get there.
We're expecting 76 degrees when I get there. But my point, though, Xavier, is that that's just the museum scene.
Sure.
I want to get into the festival scene a little bit in a sec. We'll do that after our break. But just realize that you've got outdoor opportunities with things like you said with Finley Park. Our waterways are incredible, and there's that. But the museum scene is something I really want to remind people that are listening to the program. If you haven't tried our museums in a while, you can go and again, they're affordable, they're family friendly, and they're geared toward helping you find your niche, helping you find what you like. There is something for everyone.
Absolutely.
So I just think it's important for people to hear that and understand that about the culture scene here in Columbia. So what we'll do is we'll do a timeout. We'll come on back. We've got Xavier Blake with us. He's Blake with us, the executive director of One Columbia. And what is the website for One Columbia?
www.onecolumbiasc.com.
Perfect. I'm so glad that you are here with us, and I really appreciate it. We'll do a timeout. We'll come on back in just a moment. Stick around. You're listening to Colatown, Our City, Our Stories. Hey, welcome back in. Thank you so much for spending some of your Monday morning with us. This is Colatown. My name is Kevin Cohen. This is Our City, Our Stories, and Xavier Blake is my guest here. He is the executive director at One Columbia, and we've been talking all about it. By the way, a great, easy to navigate website for you that shows so many different things and aspects of what we have in terms of culture and art here in the Columbia area at onecolumbia.com. Yeah, it is .com. I want to make sure.
Yeah, it's funny, and I'm really proud of our website. We got a grant from the Arts Commission to kind of help do some of that website work. It's Access for All grant, because one of the things our website wasn't when I started was accessible.
Right.
And so we wanted to make sure it was accessible. And so we got a wonderful grant from the Arts Commission to be able to redo our website, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's easy to navigate, and it's all mapped out for you, including the walking tours.
Yeah,
and that's kind of cool. I wanted to kind of talk about that because you got walking tours. People can. I mean, again, it's hot in Columbia, but make no mistake, there are some great stops along the way that you can find, and some great street art you had mentioned in our first segment.
Yeah, one of the things that is really cool about Columbia is the public art. I mean, there's tremendous public art in the city of Columbia. And again, you can go to our website. You can find a walking tour of the Vista, a walking tour on Main Street, also down in 5 Points. We're trying to expand some of that as well. We were really instrumental in getting some of the public art in Finley Park, some of the sculptures there and some of the murals. We're actually working on some new projects with the Lincoln Tunnel. I have an incredible co-worker, Pamela Zeljak, who's our public art administrator, and she does incredible work in terms of ushering public art into our city that's thoughtful, that's beautiful, but also helps tell the story of the city.
So what's going on with the tunnel?
Yeah, so we got a couple things happening. So we did a mural on the Park Street side, which is fantastic. We had a local artist, Maria DeFelice, that did it. It's amazing. And on the Vista Street side, the Vista Neighborhood Association just added an arch for the entryway there, so to make it more available to see where it is. But the really cool thing we got going is a lighting project going inside of the tunnel.
Wow.
So Pamela's been working with a group from one lady is from Paris, one lady is from Canada. And so they're going to put in this really cool lighting exhibit that's going to light the tunnel up at night. It's going to be taken based on the Congaree National Park, the kind of rainbow mist that happens sometimes there in the swamps.
Nice.
That's going to be done inside the tunnel in different kind of patterns and shadows.
Yeah.
So again, public art, it's quote beautiful, but also safety issue, right? So if you're going through the tunnel at night, it'll be lit up and it'll be a little more safety. So I'm really looking forward to that project being completed as 3 phases. And I think it'll be one of the points in Columbia everybody goes to get that Instagrammable photo.
You know, I one of the things, Xavier, that I think is important for people to realize is the different opportunities for different age groups. and I think that I was looking at your calendar for One Columbia, and I mean, you got something for everybody, from yoga training to the tiny tots, all kinds of different things that are going on. But there's just something fun for everybody. You know, I don't know how much this involves you guys, but I do want to point out, you were talking about the Koger Center, for example, and I thought about it from the standpoint of just like last week, you know, my kids were raised, and mine are 22 and 20. My kids were raised on a young lady named Lori Berkner. I don't know if you're familiar with Lori at all. She does kid songs and that kind of stuff. Well, she was there and it was sold out, and it was a sold out show. And I called over to Nate over at the Koger Center, Nate Trashio, and he's been a guest here on Colatown also. And I said to Nate, I was like, hey, I really need tickets to see, and he's like, sold out, brother.
Cool, Dad.
Sold out. And I'm like, well, if anything happens and you get a pair, let me know, So then my wife goes and books Saturday, and she took the kids down to Myrtle Beach for medieval times.
Love it.
Okay, and so then Nate calls me. He's like, hey, I got you tickets. And I'm like, oh, no, man. So my point is, though, that was something, and I bring it up because, again, something for everybody. That same night, they had a show at the Koger Center. So for morning, they had something for kids, and then by the evening, they had a cultural event going on with a show that was completely based on culture and for adults. And so what I was using that as an example for, Xavier, was to show you that there is something for all ages if you just take the time to look.
Absolutely. And I'll add to that story that it tells me that the thing about Columbia that I really love is the size. So you're always 2 steps away from somebody to do something you need to do. And so I think it's also cool when you go to events, you're going to see a friend, you're going to see somebody you recognize or a neighbor. The size of Columbia makes it very accessible, but also very diverse in the opportunities to do things in our city, which is amazing.
Yeah, and again, I want people to kind of bookmark, if you would, the website, onecolumbiasc.com, onecolumbiasc.com.
And there's also a donate button on the top right-hand side of the website.
You still have a little of that SCETV with you. Yeah. I could tell you, I used to help out with the begathons, as we call them.
I tell you, things that things.
It takes money.
And
bring creativity to town.
And again, for us, we're very local, so all the donations go directly back into arts programs here in our city, which is really cool.
So when we think about the public art, what would you say to somebody that's listening that has art in their blood, that wants to do something for the city or work with the city or do something to bring out their creativity?
Yeah, there are a lot of workshops available, but if there's a public art project you got in mind or you got a wall for a mural, reach out to One Columbia. There's a place on our website where you can do that, because, again, we kind of help that process with contracts, with paying artists, with doing artist calls. It's kind of how we provide help to people trying to do a public art project at their building, at their site, or in their location.
And also, you guys feature here on the website local artists.
Yeah, of course. So there's also an artist page where you can, if you're an artist in town, you can go and sign up and put your profile on our website. And then you can be somebody looking for a digital graphics designer, somebody trying to find a violinist. And so they may come to our website and search our website to find you and contact you for work. So that's also something we do, service we provide to artists for free.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's an opportunity, to keep it in the family.
Of course.
To hire someone local to do something. If maybe you need something done inside your business and you want a wall
Absolutely.
that you want to turn into a mural instead of it just being a blank wall,
Yep.
you get a local artist off of the website onecolumbiasc.com, and next thing you know, you're supporting local art, you're supporting a local artist,
Absolutely.
and you're also spreading culture.
100%. And that's the thing I said about One Columbia that's really important to me. I didn't really understand what a local arts agency was either when I started, honestly. But again, to think about it as a city council for the arts, right? Like I said, NEH is the National State Arts Commission, which does an amazing job for our state. It's the state arts advocates, and we are your local advocacy for the arts.
Yeah, I just want people, again, to understand we have got so much to play with here. And if you haven't taken a look at the website, if you haven't taken a look at the calendar, things like that, what about from attraction when it comes to bringing in things? How much do you guys work with the city when it comes to bringing in shows, events, exhibits, that kind of stuff?
We partner with a lot of people. So one of the goals of One Columbia is to increase tourism. And so we do partner with the Coca Center. We partner with the Nickelodeon. We partner with Experience SC. So we kind of partner with a lot of people to kind of facilitate a lot of connections. The thing that I realized too that we do a lot of is make connections that make things happen. For example, we are partners with the Coca Center on Levette Amp project they're doing. We're partners with a group called the Jasper Project that did the One Book Project. We also partner with the Nickelodeon to kind of bring in this documentary series that's going to be coming along soon. So what we do is kind of facilitate and make connections to be able to have things culturally in Columbia and push for that.
Let's talk a little bit about the Nick for a sec.
Yeah,
because,
sure.
obviously you got a place in your heart for it.
Yeah. I was
you spent
the
a lot
board
of
chairman.
time-
I was the board
right, I'm gonna
chairman.
say,
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time working with the Nick, I think it's one of those Columbia treasures. And again, it's more than just saying, I'm going to go see a movie. If you want to go see a movie and you want an experience instead of just a movie, you go to the Nick.
Absolutely.
You're going to see people that are going to come in costume for whatever movie they're seeing. I mean, there's something cultural about going to see a film or an event at the Nickelodeon. It's just a different animal.
It's the only local nonprofit art house theater in South Carolina, right? And so there's something to be said for that. And again, the thing that I think is special about the Nick, you can go to any theater and see a movie, but the Nick is not just a theater; it's a community gathering space. And,
That's a great way to describe
yeah, it is. There's way more than just a movie there, right? You get more than a theater there.
My kids grew up, and I guess Sumner Bender is still there, and my kids grew up with her because she directed a lot of plays that my daughter has been in, because my daughter's a theater major and grew up here in the theater community. And Sumner was a director that directed a lot of the shows and still does a number of shows here in town. But so I've known her. I've watched her cut her teeth, obviously, and grow into something where she's trying to do good things now for the Nick. And everybody that's associated with Nickelodeon, there's a certain level of passion, Xavier, that people have for it. And they understand it. Once you've attended, been to, become a member, that kind of stuff, it's kind of like what we've been talking about the whole half hour you've been with me about. You get it in your blood. You were here, you left to go to New York, and then you realize, I got to go home. Yeah. And you came home. That's kind of how I feel about the Nick. It's like once you've been there, there's no other place.
Yeah, one of the last things I did before I moved to New York as the board chair was get Sumner Bender hired.
Right.
And so we're really excited about that. And to your point, there is just so much community here in this city that's really cool. And I think that's one of the things about Columbia that I find fascinating is that there's a community aspect about things. There's also something building here, I think, where there's a lot of construction downtown. There's a lot of development downtown. Things are happening in the city. The city council has been doing a wonderful job in terms of guiding our city. Finley Park just opened. There's a new park that's going to open pretty soon on the other side. Right. There's just a lot of excitement. And so I think it's a really cool time to be in the arts and cultural space, because, again, I think the arts and cultural space can really help some of that growth from an economic standpoint, from a community building standpoint, and just from a general bit to make our city a better place.
We talked about this with Will Brennan, who was here before you, and 28 people a day are moving to the Midlands. Yeah. 28 people a day. Yeah. Think about that. Do the math. So with that, you're getting people who, some of them are just so gung-ho about sports. Some of them are so gung-ho about this. We got a big military presence with Fort Jackson and Shaw and McIntyre. But a lot of these people want culture, and they want this type of arts and culture scene. We've got it. OneColumbiaSC.com. Thank you for coming in.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Xavier Blake, the Executive Director, One Columbia. This is Colatown. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.